Sheriff Cunningham obviously played a major role in bringing about the capture of Black Bart, but so too did Private Detective Morse. Private security and investigation services were critical in the Old West, providing manpower and expertise that were not always available to the local force. These included shotgun messengers and also private detectives, like the famous Pinkerton National Detective Agency, more commonly called simply the Pinkertons. Allan Pinkerton's agency had provided intelligence work for the Union during the Civil War, and afterward it provided investigators who could go anywhere, not restricted by jurisdictional boundaries. His son, William A. Pinkerton, once explained another benefit the Pinkertons had.
The robbers frequently have friends or relatives among the local authorities in the county in which they reside, and more particularly is this so in the South and Southwest. A Western officer once told me, when I asked his assistants to arrest a part of a train robbing gang, that he would deputize me and aid me secretly, but owing to the relatives and sympathizers of these men residing in the county, he dare not lend a hand openly. That I did not reside in the county and did not have to live there after this arrest was made, but he did. This man was a good officer and willing to do his duty, but it was impossible for him to conduct a fight against these men alone. Had it been known that he was against them, he would have been assassinated.
For such reasons, the Pinkertons were hired to hunt down and capture the James Younger gang, led by Frank and Jesse James and Cole Younger. The Pinkertons sent multiple undercover agents after the gang. Those agents were captured and murdered. Speaking in 1907, William Pinkerton said,
"The state of Missouri has probably produced more train robbers than any other state in the Union, and of whom the James brothers were the most desperate and vicious. When the war broke out, the brothers joined the Quantrill Band in their guerrilla warfare. After the war, the James boys, operating with Cole, Jim, John, and Bob Younger, Clell and John Miller, Charles Pitts, the Tompkins brothers, Jim Cummings, Dick Liddell, and other members of Quantrill's band, began prowling through the west and southwest Missouri and eastern Kansas, looking for what spoils they could get, and for years committed a series of the most despicable crimes of that period in Missouri, Kentucky, and Minnesota, holding up banks in the daytime, robbing trains at night, murdering respectable citizens who resisted them, and killing officers who attempted their arrest."
The Pinkertons were never successful in capturing the James Younger gang, but it began to fall apart in 1876. In September of that year, the gang attempted to rob the First National Bank of Northfield, Minnesota, far outside the Southern Territory with which they were familiar.
The Grange Advance newspaper, September 13, 1886. A gang of 8 mounted men made their appearance in Northfield, and while 4 of them went into the bank to rob it, the others kept up a fusillade on the streets to intimidate the citizens from interfering with the bank. The robbers endeavored to force the cashier, Mr. J. L. Haywood, to open the safe, but he would not do it, although they struck him with a pistol and swore that they would kill him if he did not comply. The delay caused by Mr. Haywood's bravery gave time for the citizens to recover from the first shock of surprise and alarm, and the accomplices outside warned the robbers in the bank to hurry out. Before leaving the bank, one of the robbers shot Mr. Haywood through the head, killing him instantly. The act was a cold-blooded and cowardly murder, for Mr. Haywood was utterly helpless at the time from the injuries he had previously received. Several citizens had by this time armed themselves and were firing upon the robbers. 2 of them were hit, one dying on the spot and the other soon afterwards. These were since identified by Mr. L.M. Hazen, a Cincinnati detective, as Charlie Pitts and Bill Chadwell. Finding the citizens thoroughly aroused, the robbers took the road towards Morristown, and shortly after, a company of citizens, well mounted, started in pursuit. From that time, the pursuit has been continued, other companies from various quarters joining in. Those who profess to know declare them to be the James and Younger gang of Kansas, and say that Jesse and Frank James and two of the Youngers are with this company. Some of this same gang were in the city not long ago and purchased horses and equipment here. They also visited the banks. One of them answers to the description of Jesse James, but they were not suspected at that time. The people of Northfield deserve great credit for the vigorous efforts they put forth to capture the corpses of these scoundrels. There are rewards of about $3,000 per head offered for the robbers, and they will no doubt be vigilantly followed, let them go where they may. But the truth is that their whereabouts is unknown, and while it is to be hoped that they may be caught by the parties still in pursuit, it is doubtful if they will be.
But 2 weeks later, another local paper reported.
Almost everyone had abandoned the idea of the capture of the murderous Missouri banditti. The Telegraph flashed the news that 4 of them had been captured, 1 being killed and 3 wounded.
A teenager milking a cow with his father one evening saw a couple of strangers walk past. Although they were polite, the boy said he recognized them from their descriptions and told his father.
But his father said they were not, and told him to go and attend to his milking. The boy became so earnest that his father finally consented to let him go to Madelia and give the alarm. The boy rode at a breakneck pace to Madelia, and Sheriff Glispin, with a small posse, started in pursuit between 9 and 10 o'clock. They overtook the robbers 5 miles from Madelia and opened fire on them at once. They crossed over a slough, walking slowly and deliberately, but the horsemen were unable to get over. A party went on to South Bend, to Doolittle's place, to head the robbers from going west or crossing the river, which they must have swam, the river being very deep. The pursuing party, now numbering about 50, surrounded the little patch of willows where the robbers were hid. Captain Murphy, B.M. Rice, George Bradford, Chas Pomeroy, Sheriff Glispin, and John Voigt advanced into the coppice and scouted it thoroughly, advancing in skirmish line. Suddenly, the robbers opened fire at the advancing skirmish line, emptying their revolvers rapidly, and their balls flying about as thick as hail. The advancing party as quickly responded to the fusillade, discharging several shots each, and the men along the river joined in the rapid volleys. One of the skirmishers in the wood called out to the desperate bandits to hold up their hands and come in, or they would continue the fire. Almost at the recommencement of the firing, 3 men fell, and the 4th put up his hand and came out. He had fired several times after the others fell, getting another wounded man to load his pistols for him, for one of his hands were useless. The men in the woods then advanced and secured their prisoners, assisted them out of the woods, and placing them in a lumber wagon, brought them into Madelia.
The younger brothers had been captured, and the other members of the gang were killed.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help us produce more compelling historical content like this, please like, comment below, and share this video with fellow history buffs. And of course, be sure to subscribe to help keep history happening.